Aliens trembled at our whisper. Then, we unleashed the storm. The war didn't begin with gunfire, but with a whisper that crossed the void between stars. It was a transmission so faint that most alien sensors dismissed it as background radiation. But those who listened heard words in a language they didn't understand, yet felt in their bones. It wasn't a threat, not exactly, more like a promise whispered by something ancient and patient. Across the Confederacy of 9 Suns, diplomats traded worried glances, unsure of what they had heard. The message contained no coordinates, no demands, just a fragment of an old Earth lullaby. Scholars argued it was cultural noise, nothing of consequence to galactic affairs. Generals, however, remembered the last time Earth had spoken after centuries of silence. That time, entire fleets had vanished in the dark without firing a single shot. Humanity had retreated from the galactic stage long ago, sealing its borders in silence. Worlds that once traded with Earth became ghost markets, their ports empty of Terran ships. Our colonies turned inward, building something unseen while alien powers fought for dominance. Without our presence, the galaxy grew arrogant, believing humanity was broken or gone. But in hidden systems, our fleets slept under ice and shadow, waiting for a signal. That signal had come in the form of that whispered transmission, drifting for light years. Alien intelligence agencies tore themselves apart trying to decode its meaning. Only one phrase was certain in their imperfect translation: "We are awake now." And to the wise, that was more terrifying than any declaration of war. The Koresh Dominion was the first to respond, sending stealth probes toward Terran borders. They found nothing, only dead beacons, abandoned stations, and frozen moons. But their captain spoke of unease, as though unseen eyes followed their every move. One probe vanished near the Oort stations, replaced by an automated broadcast. The message simply repeated, "Patience is over." No trace of the probe or its crew was ever found again. The Koresh Senate dismissed the loss as equipment failure, but their admirals knew better. They began mobilizing fleets quietly without admitting why. Because the galaxy remembered, humanity never moved without purpose. Historians had called us the quiet predators, a species that learned, adapted, and struck only once. When we had first entered the galactic arena, we had been underestimated. Our ships had been clumsy, our weapons crude, our fleets small. And yet, war after war, humanity had emerged stronger, not weaker. We had never sought conquest, but those who attacked us ceased to exist. Then one day, we simply vanished into our own territory and locked the gates. For 200 years, the galaxy thought we had grown tired or extinct. The whisper that crossed the stars shattered that illusion in an instant, and every alien empire knew something was coming. Rumors spread faster than truth. Alien traders claimed to have seen Terran ships at distant ports. Others spoke of shadow fleets moving through asteroid belts like ghosts. A Dravathi warlord swore his patrol had been stalked for days by an invisible predator. And in the hidden chambers of power, the whispers turned to fear. The Confederacy of 9 Suns demanded an emergency summit, but no one attended in person. Even the most arrogant empires preferred distance when speaking of humanity's return. No one wanted to be the first to provoke us. No one wanted to be the last to prepare. Because everyone knew once humanity moved, there would be no stopping them. And the only question was, what had awoken us now? On the mining world of Tethra 5, workers claimed to see dark silhouettes in the sky. At first, they thought it was atmospheric debris, but the shapes moved with purpose. The images they sent were blurry, angular vessels with black hulls and no transponders. Within days, the colony's entire communication grid went silent. A Koresh patrol sent to investigate reported seeing a single human figure standing on the landing pad. The man didn't speak, didn't move, and yet their sensors detected massive power surges underground. Before they could approach, their systems fried, and their ships were dead in space. When a rescue fleet arrived weeks later, the colony was empty, every life form gone. The only trace left behind was a mural painted on the colony wall. A storm, breaking over a black sea. Alien strategists now debated whether to unite or strike first. Some argued for diplomacy, claiming perhaps humanity could be reasoned with. Others demanded preemptive strikes before Terran fleets emerged in full force. Yet none could agree on where to strike. Our homeworld was hidden behind shifting defenses. Old maps of Sol were useless. Asteroid fortresses and decoy planets masked its position. Even wormhole routes had been collapsed or redirected into black holes. If war was inevitable, it would be fought on humanity's terms, not theirs. That truth alone sent shivers down the spine of alien war councils, because history had taught them Terrans didn't fight wars to win, they fought to end. And in the deep black beyond any known chart, the storm-born fleet began to wake. Shipyards buried inside shattered moons hummed with power for the first time in centuries. Artificial suns lit dry dock bays where dreadnoughts older than empires stood ready. Each ship bore a name etched in a language the galaxy had forgotten. The crews were not young. These were warriors bred for one purpose and one purpose only. They had been raised in silence, trained in darkness, and armed in secret. Their orders were simple. Wait until the call comes, then unleash everything. And now, with the whisper sent, the waiting was over. The storm was coming. The first open strike came in the Altherian Expanse, a region far from Terran borders. Koresh Battleship Group detected an unidentified vessel on long-range scans. It was massive, larger than any recorded Terran ship, but completely unarmed on the surface. Thinking it an easy capture, the Koresh moved in with boarding parties. The moment they latched onto the hull, the vessel's skin rippled like liquid metal. What appeared to be plating shifted into weapon arrays older than the Koresh themselves. A single pulse of blue-white light engulfed the boarding ships, vaporizing them instantly. Before the Koresh command could react, their comms filled with a single Terran phrase. Consider this: the first drop of rain. News of the incident hit the galactic nets like wildfire. Some called it propaganda, others claimed it was impossible for Terrans to possess such tech. But then came the recordings. Grainy footage from Koresh ship sensors. The Terran vessel didn't move like a machine. It flowed like a predator through water. Its hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage, vanishing into the void between stars. And when it reappeared, the Koresh fleet was gone. The coordinates were empty space, with only drifting debris left behind. Analysts calculated the attack lasted no more than 12 seconds. It was not a battle, it was an execution. Alien media debated what message the Terrans were sending. Some believed it was revenge for ancient wars long past. Others whispered it was a warning to keep away from whatever they were protecting. Theories ranged from a new Terran colony to the recovery of some lost superweapon. Still, none could agree on why the humans had reawakened now. But across the galaxy, fleets began moving to high alert. The Koresh Dominion demanded an emergency coalition to face the Terran threat. Yet even as they gathered their forces, they knew deep down the first lightning was always followed by the full storm. Inside the storm-born fleet's command vessel, Admiral Kira Solis reviewed the battle footage. She was tall, silver-haired, with eyes that seemed to reflect starlight. Her voice was calm as she addressed her captains, but her tone carried iron. "We do not fight for conquest. We fight for silence. Our silence." Her officers nodded, understanding the weight of the centuries-long vow. The storm would not be unleashed on the innocent, but only on those who had broken the pact. And yet, Kira knew that soon the entire galaxy would test that resolve. Because predators could smell fear, and fear was spreading, and humanity was done hiding. The Coalition fleet assembled at the edge of the Delta Rift, over 600 warships strong. Every major empire sent its most advanced vessels, bristling with weapons. They believed numbers would overwhelm the Terrans before the storm broke in full. Their admirals spoke confidently on encrypted channels, masking their unease. For the first time in centuries, alien powers had united under one cause: survival. The plan was simple: push into suspected Terran space, force them into open combat, destroy enough of their ships to show the galaxy they could bleed, then force peace. On terms favorable to the Coalition, it was a plan born of hope, not experience. What they didn't know was that the Terrans had been watching them since the first ship launched. Sensor ghosts appeared along the Coalition's flanks, ships flickering in and out of detection. Patrol. Vessels vanished without distress calls, leaving only drifting escape pods. Some pods were empty, others carried survivors who spoke of shadow-like attackers. They claimed the humans never missed a shot, never wasted movement. And strangest of all, some survivors swore they were spared deliberately, as if the Terrans wanted their stories to spread like wildfire. Each tale fed the growing unease within the Coalition ranks. Fear was doing the Terrans' work for them. When the Coalition fleet finally crossed into what they believed was Terran territory, the sky changed. Stars vanished behind shifting clouds of metallic dust, engineered nebulae. Within the haze, ghostly silhouettes of massive ships glided silently. The Coalition fired first, weapons blazing into the void. The void fired back, and the void screamed. Terran weapons tore through shields like they were mist, hulls breaking apart in seconds. The sounds of thousands dying filled the comms, mixed with static and a single phrase: "You should have stayed in the light." The first wave of the Coalition fleet was gone in minutes. Admiral Kira didn't speak during the battle. She didn't have to. Her crews moved like a single living organism, their training flawless. Every strike was precise, every movement anticipated by decades of preparation. The Coalition's numbers dwindled until retreat was the only option. Yet the Terrans did not pursue. They simply vanished back into the nebula. The surviving Coalition ships limped away, scarred and broken. They had not even reached Earth, yet the war was already lost in their hearts. Kira watched from her command chair, her gaze unreadable. The storm was no longer coming. It was here. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Entire empires frozen in indecision. Some worlds abandoned the Coalition and sealed their borders. Others sent envoys begging for peace, unsure if they'd even be heard. Rumors spread of Terran ships appearing over core worlds, then vanishing without a trace. Alien leaders began to suspect the truth. The humans could strike anywhere, anytime. Their fleets were not invading. They were reminding the galaxy of something older than war. A simple truth carved into the memory of every species that had ever faced us. Humans didn't start storms. They ended them. In the great halls of the Koresh Senate, leaders argued over surrender terms. Some demanded reparations for the fleets destroyed, as if it would matter. Others said nothing, staring at the hollows of empty star systems. Entire sectors had gone silent, not destroyed, but emptied. Every trace of life moved elsewhere, destination unknown. It was as if the Terrans had erased them without killing them. The fear in that mystery was worse than death itself, because no one knew what fate awaited those taken by the humans. And no one dared to ask. Admiral Kira's final address was not to her enemies, but to her own people. She stood before the storm-born fleet, her voice carrying across thousands of ships. "We do not revel in fear. We do not crave power. We protect the silence that keeps us free." Her words echoed through the hearts of every Terran listening. This war was not conquest, it was correction. Those who broke the centuries-old pact had invited the storm upon themselves, and now the silence would return, stronger than before. Her final words were calm, but they struck like thunder. Let them remember. We whispered first. And so the storm receded, leaving a galaxy that would never forget. Alien historians would debate the reasons for centuries to come. Some would call it the Storm War, others the Whisper Conflict. But among those who had seen it firsthand, the name was simpler: the Reckoning. No empire dared to test Terran silence again. Our borders closed once more, and the stars grew quiet. Some claimed to still hear the whisper in deep space transmissions. A promise, or perhaps a warning, drifting through the void. And it said, "We are watching."